Alright guys, so today we're going to be changing the oil on this beautiful 2016-2017 Toyota Highlander. And these are really nice mid-size SUVs. So I want to show you guys how to change the oil on this thing. And first thing I'm going to do is come under here and pull the lever to pop the hood. And then you're going to basically pull this lever over to pop the hood. And one nice thing about this particular VVTi motor on this Highlander is that there is a ton of room in here. So if you guys need to do any kind of work, repair alternators, belts, anything, it's very easy to work on. And when I'm looking for a car, this is what I'm looking for, is can I maintain this on my own? Is it simple, or do I need to take it to a shop? All right, let me show you guys all the things you guys will need to change oil in pretty much any car or truck, doesn't really matter. So first of all, I mean the obvious, your oil catch can to collect all the old oil. And I recommend also getting something like this, just a tray, a secondary tray in case you spill or make a mess. It's gonna land on this. You're also gonna need some sort of a universal filter wrench. I have this universal one. This is specific for this Toyota, and I got a bunch of them for all my cars. And a basic socket set. And if you guys are doing this yourself, I highly recommend getting the OE oil filters. This is $11. One of the very first things I like to do is crack open the oil cap, because your engine is under pressure, and it's also nice to have your engine to be warm when you guys are draining the oil. The warmer the engine, the warmer the oil, the easier it is. It's going to drain through all the orifices to the bottom of your oil pan. Also, what I like to do is pull the dipstick and chuck the oil level on my dipstick before I even start, because this is going to tell me how much oil do I have to start with. And look at this, oh my gosh, there's no oil on a dipstick. Can you guys see the two dots? Can you guys see those two dots? That's where the oil should be. Okay, now this one here, my buddy's car, this is the first time me changing the oil. Wow, there is nothing on this thing. So I will take a picture of this and let him know. But when we drain the oil, I'll be curious to see how much oil is in here. Now this particular engine takes 5 quarts of oil. So it looks like there's gonna be maybe under 2 quarts based on that dipstick. Let's see. We're now under the vehicle, and we're gonna place our catch can right below the drain plug right here. And then just right behind, towards the front of the vehicle, this is your oil filter. This guy right there. So before I even start, I wanted to look under here and see why this thing is so low in oil. And I'm looking for basically oil leaks. And this thing looks really clean. Now, most modern cars, they oftentimes will burn through a quart of oil between oil changes. That's not uncommon. But this thing barely had oil on the dipstick. So I'm curious to find out why. So this bolt right here is a 14 millimeter. And we're gonna crack this thing open, and that was on there just right. Oftentimes I see these bolts on here super tight, and this one felt really good. Okay, so now we're gonna run this bolt out, and you wanna be careful not to drop this in the pan, otherwise you're gonna make a big mess. So when you get to the very end, just pull it out really fast, 1, 2, 3, just like that. Okay, and then we're gonna inspect this thing. It looks like it's missing a crush washer. So we're gonna put a crush washer on here, and we're gonna let this drain out and come back. Yeah, like I was saying, this thing should have a crush washer. They're usually on these Toyotas solid aluminum that fits right over this thing, but we're gonna use a combination of aluminum and rubber. So make sure that whatever crush washer you guys are using, make sure it has some metal in there, not just rubber, because rubber on these things will actually slide out. As you're tightening it up, it'll basically expand and it'll rip right out. So don't use rubber on these. If you want to use rubber, they're very specific. They're usually common on Ford. Okay, let's jump under here. We're gonna go ahead and clean up the bottom of our drain bolt area right here. Clean the surface really good. Get all the gunks and whatever out of there. And then we're gonna go ahead and take our bolt and hand tighten it in there as far as you can go, and we're gonna come back later on and we're gonna torque this properly. In fact, let's do it right now. So it's important to drive it in here with the hand as far as it'll go, and then torque it. So this thing has inch pounds and Newton meter. Okay, so this thing doesn't go up to 30 foot-pounds. We're gonna go with the medium one right here, and we're gonna check this guy out. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and put our oil filter on here. It goes in just like that. And we're gonna need our extension, just a 3/8 extension, goes right at the very end of our little wrench right there. And we're gonna break this guy loose. Oh gosh, this thing on it really tight. Let me drop the camera and then we'll come back. Oh. Okay, so you're gonna take a wrench, put it on the filter with the 3/8 extension and a ratchet, and untwist this thing. Take it off slowly, and again, make sure you guys have your drain plug right here. So a lot of you might be asking, well, why don't you unscrew this bypass valve that lets the oil out of the filter first before I taking this whole housing off? Well, from my experience, and I've done several of these Highlanders, these things don't work. You still make a mess. So that's really the only purpose of this little bypass little bolt right here, is to let the oil that's in the filter out, and then you take the filter out. And it's supposed to basically reduce the mess. Well, from my experience, that doesn't work very well at all. So I just take the whole filter off. So long as you do this slowly and carefully, it's not that bad. See? And then just tip the filter upside down, drain it all out. Wait, if you guys are interested in taking this little plug out first, so basically when you take this plug out, you slide this guy in here, okay, inside this bowl, and then oil comes out of here. So if you guys are curious about what this thing does, that's all it does. It doesn't make any difference, in my opinion. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And I just want to reiterate, I've done a lot of these Highlanders, and yeah, they don't really work. You still make a mess. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and take this O-ring off that's on your housing, your oil filter housing. Take the old one off, and then it comes with all your new O-rings, and just put this new one on. I'm gonna try to do this with one hand here. And then we're gonna take some new oil and we're gonna lubricate that new O-ring that we just put on, and then take your other new filter right here. It doesn't matter which way you put it in, and make sure it goes in nice and tight so that it doesn't come out. Okay, so just like that. Now this other O-ring right here is for the bottom of where that bolt is. Since we never took that bolt off, we're gonna leave it and we're not gonna replace this. There's no need to. However, if you were to take that out, you want to replace that with that O-ring right there. Okay, now all we gotta do is screw this back on, and then once you screw this in there, it's only going to go under certain tightness, and you can't go any further. So it's pretty self-explanatory. All right, guys, so we put in 5 quarts of oil, and we use this Costco brand. Now, I highly recommend you guys go with Costco. It's almost half the cost. You guys can get 2 of these 5-quart jugs for $35, and sometimes they're even on sale, like $5 to $7 off. Looking at the sticker, last time this was changed was February 12th with 127,000 miles. So that's 4,000 miles ago, which is really good, right? So that's kind of what you expect someone to change the oil, between 3,000 to 5,000 miles, I would say, for these newer vehicles. So let's go see how much oil is actually in here. Okay, so I just drained all the oil out of here, dumped it in here. This was empty. Of course, it took 5 quarts of oil. And here's 1, 2.5. Here's 3. So just above 2.5 quarts came out of the Highlander. Is this what you guys were expecting? All right, so interesting that this vehicle is burning that much oil and there's no leaks. I heard that this is pretty common on Toyotas and some other cars too, but this is a lot for Toyotas. I'm really surprised. So that's why it's so important for you guys to never miss your oil change. Look in your handbook and make sure you guys are changing your oil. at the scheduled maintenance miles. If not, change your oil every 3,000 to 4,000 miles or every season, at least every 4 months. Let's go ahead and reset the light on your Highlander. You're gonna put the key in, turn it to on, but don't turn it on. And come over here to this back button here, and you're gonna basically go back until you see this gear setting. Once you get to the gear settings, scroll down with your arrow all the way down to maintenance, schedule maintenance. Hit the center key, and then reset data, yes. And that's it. Well, last thing we got to do is turn the car on, let it run for a little bit, turn it off, let it settle, and then check our dipstick, make sure that the oil is between those 2 dots that we looked at earlier. All right, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any thoughts or comments, leave it down below, and we hope to see you guys in the next video. Until then, God bless and have a wonderful summer. So one little quick pro tip here when you guys are changing your oil, there's 2 things you ought to do. Number 1 is check your air filter, and also you want to clean out your engine bay area with the air hose. Now you guys can look right here. This is your vent that goes inside your cabin. So if you guys are feeling like, hey, there's not a whole lot of air pressure coming in, well, it could be because your air vent, your outside air vent to your cabin is all clogged up like this guy right here. Looks like a bird nest in there, but it's kicked on there pretty good. And I bet it's because they parked their car under this big old tree that's dropping all these stuff on the car. So if you guys are parking your car under a tree, well, make sure you guys get this thing cleaned up. Otherwise, you're not really optimizing your AC system. All right, so there you go.